Hello, everybody. You've just witnessed West Ham get beat 3-0 at the Etihad by Manchester City. Not the result we were looking for. I mean, probably a result, if we're being brutally honest, mate, we were expecting. Is it bad to be expecting like that?
No, you know what? I literally said before the game, I was like, it's 2-3-0. Can we just shake hands and take that score now? Because and this will be Moyes, and people won't like it. Before the team come out, I thought maybe we can nick a point. But evidently, there's a sickness bug going around, which by the middle of the afternoon had ruled out Rice, Aguerd and Souček. So, you know, considering we had a midfield two at Man City of Downs and Paqueta, it actually wasn't a bad performance at all. I'm kind of just happy that we didn't take the hammering to affect the goal difference. You know, 3-0 was about what we could afford to lose. And if it does come down to goal difference, because it could well do, you know, 3-0 isn't disastrous. You know, it's not a 5 or a 6.
Are you kind of disappointed, though, at the fact that we came in at the halfway point 0-0? I mean, there must be an element of disappointment. Again, it's we've played so many games in so many different competitions against so many different levels of opposition, and everyone knows what kind of beast we're dealing with when it comes to Manchester City, who are doing a guard of honour. I don't know who they've done the guard of honour for. Oh, is it Haaland?
He's just broke the record, didn't he? I turned it off already. I'm not watching it.
Yeah. So, I mean, to go in at halftime 0-0, yeah, okay, backs against the wall to a certain extent, but you know, I mean, you've got to have a level of disappointment with that, surely.
It's weird. I had to say at half time, and it didn't actually go as much as I thought it would. I thought they would go, like, Pep would have, like, rattled them at half time, and it'd be all guns, like, full throttle second half. It wasn't, and it didn't really feel like. I know it's going to be like, it's going to sound illogical and stuff because we basically sat back for 90 minutes, but it really didn't feel like a 3-0 game. It felt like a game very much where Man City, for the most part, struggled to break us down, and it was a really good, solid defensive performance that yet again has been let down by 3 mistakes. Mm. It is 3 individual mistakes, or shall I say 2 individual mistakes and 1 collective mistake. But it's mistakes that let us down.
Yeah, I mean, get into the starting lineup. You mentioned it. You know, illness is kicking about. Whether or not you want to believe whatever you want to believe, that's fine. But does that set the tone for the game straight away when you look at the team? I mean, were you pleasantly surprised, or were you happy that some of the players were rested or not well in preparation for the big games we've got coming up now? You know,
I'm surprised it didn't go either one way or the other. Like I suppose, you know, Moyes' Souček and Rice cover a lot of ground in that midfield. So they probably need the rest. Aguerd we're definitely going to need for the running, so we don't know what Zoom is going to be like. And then the rest of it, you know, he's changed shape, try and make it more awkward. I was very surprised to see Downs and, like I said, Downs and Paqueta as midfield 2. But to be fair, they didn't exactly have a bad game.
Yeah.
You know,
All right, let's dissect the goals then. I think the biggest disappointment for me will be, you know, okay, we got beat 3-0, but someone has to score
3 mistakes.
First.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and I think the first goal in the manner that it was taken really gets to me because you've got Ogbonna really marking 3 players. You look back at the goal. That,
yeah, it was a free kick. The free kick, like we both said, like, you know, it was a free kick. It wasn't
necessary.
It was a Flynn Downs. It was an unnecessary tackle. Like I don't want to say he got conned, but he lost the mental battle in that tackle with Grealish. Grealish sucked him in and made him believe he was going to win the ball. And as soon as Downs dives in, he just flicks the ball to his side and gets clattered and gets booked. And he was like, he wasn't going anywhere. He didn't need to make it. But then you're like, right, okay, let's set up here. Of course, it was a set-piece goal because Sky Sports put the stat up in the first half that we'd only conceded 4 set-piece goals this season. So, of course, lo and behold, in the second half, we had to concede a set-piece goal. But like you said, it's a case of I don't have the sound on, so I don't know, and obviously we weren't there, so we need the discussions will be had, but we need to know A, who was marking, B, who then doesn't do their marking, and C, does Ogbonna say anything? Because it wasn't just 3 men on the back post for this whipped ball.
Yeah,
it's John Stones. I think it was John Stones, Rodrigo, and Ake.
I'm looking at it now.
The only one you're missing for the height is Haaland. Like their 3 biggest players are on the back post. Now, there is, if you want to be utterly pedantic and over the top, you can maybe moan that Ogbonna's 2 foot 2 deep compared to the rest of the team, but he's going to feel compelled to drop that deep because he's got 3 men on him.
Yeah. The problem is, though, if we go back to the when he awarded the free kick, like you said, Downs got conned into making the tackle in an unnecessary position, which it was. And it was an unnecessary position because there was plenty of players back there to deal with it. Up until that point, I felt like our game plan, to a certain extent, was working. It wasn't the most attractive, and we were starting to hold on to the ball a little bit. Our positional stats were getting a little bit better, but essentially, we were holding Man City to our own. We were dealing with Grealish. We were dealing with Haaland. And then it just took a silly decision that did it. And then, a heads dropped, players falling asleep, not paying attention. And when you play against the level of quality opposition that Manchester...
You can't make a single mistake.
Let's make a single mistake, and that's it. And that leads me on to the second goal, mate, because Paqueta, was doing really well in the game. I thought at one point, he was getting stuck in, mate. But he did a really good move, and he played the ball forward. And David Moyes decided to make a sub. Now, me and you spoke about it. Danny Ings straight switch for Antonio. Now, at the time, I did say, Antonio's been ineffective so far, so we're not going to go out and try and score shitloads of goals against this team. So, like for fresh legs, I should have thought differently because Paqueta plays the ball through. Danny Ings plays a really lazy ball right into the path of Grealish, who attacks with Haaland, literally like he's at a buffet. He's in the queue. And
he was never missing.
And a waitress and waiter comes up to him and goes, "What do you want? I will get it for you. I'll put it on your plate for you." And that's what he wanted. Even before he got the ball. You've seen it, mate. We knew it was a goal before.
The movement. Like, no one's catching him. No one's
because I think he scored 35 goals now, officially in the Premier League. He's the highest goal scorer in the Premier League in a season. And most of those goals have been scored from that run. In actual fact, he did that run against us twice. Once led to a penalty in the first game we played against him, and the second one he scored. He done those exact run. He scored those goals from that exact run, and we've allowed. It's not even the Haaland thing; it's the allowing Grealish in, and it's from a really lazy ball from Danny Ings, and it's frustrating.
Well, I said you said, "Oh yeah, let's bring on Danny Ings," and I said, "Let's not." I said,
"No." I said he was coming on. It wasn't bringing him on.
But I was I'd rather see Cornet because. Don't get me wrong, he should be able to control that. He's a Premier League footballer. But he's not been bought. Let me clarify, right? He is not a back-to-goal player. Moyes might have bought him to do that, but that's not what he does. And he's not a mobile winger that's over 6 foot, that's got a bit of bulk on him, that's going to hold the ball and run, right? In which case, you might have all brought Cornet on and played balls over the top and let Cornet just run at their defence. But yeah, Paqueta wraps it in because we're trying to play through the lines on the back of the fact that we just had about 5 minutes of possession where we saw that crazy stat where we had 80-odd possession for 5 minutes. Like, we were getting ourselves back into the game, putting a little bit of pressure on. He wraps it in. It's an awful touch from Danny Ings. I think maybe Rodrigo or Bernardo Silva picks up on it. One pass to Grealish. Grealish looks up. One pass. Again, Ogbonna's deeper than everyone else. But you can't really blame him for that one because it's literally, you're talking 5 seconds, 6 seconds from that ball leaving Paqueta's foot to then going towards Haaland. It's literally Man City turning it straight over. And that touch killed the game. That awful touch from Danny Ings, which again, I wouldn't have played him.
Do you think that you hear the word free hit? Did it feel like that today?
Yeah, yes. But here's the thing, right? As fans, we would sit here and go, "Is that it's a free hit?" Right? Moyes will sit there and go, "Look at everyone else down the bottom, right? We're 4 points clear of everyone. Well, 5 of Everton, 4 of the other 3, with a superior goal difference, right?" Now Leicester have now pulled level on goal difference, so that does make the 4 point gap to Leicester. But the other 3 teams have still got not at least it's like a 9-goal swing. I think one of the teams might be on like 23, might be Leeds. I think maybe Forest on like -32. So again, it's still like a 20-goal swing, but it might be like a 9-goal swing to Leeds, which at this stage of the season is worth another point. So Moyes is literally going into the game today, going, we could not really have had a better weekend. All right, Bournemouth won, but Bournemouth were basically out of it anyway. After our loss, especially after you got the point, the draw between Leicester and Everton, which didn't really help either team. Moyes would have gone in today's game going, as long as we don't get hammered, if we can nick it, if we can stay in it and nick it. But I think once the second goal went in, I think Moyes was just like, right, let's just try and not get battered. Let's just try and keep it, let's try and keep it attainable. They weren't even really going for the third goal until that third goal went in. They'd actually had a period of 3 or 4 or 5 minutes where it's like, at one point, John Stones was literally just standing still about 30 yards out from his own goal. Yeah. And there was a period of 4 or 5 seconds where no one moved. And in the end, like Ings and Benrahma just started walking towards him and made him pass the ball. And then they get this corner, which, we deal with it. We deal with the first ball. I think Paqueta wins the first header, and it comes out to Foden on the edge of the box. Again, we never position anyone on the edge of the box for that second ball. We always just leave it. We just leave it for us to try and deal with as a second ball, second phase. Emerson comes out, turns his back on it. It literally hits him on the heel. It was going that way. It goes that way. Fabianski's momentum's already gone one way. It's like 4 or 5 yards past him. It's about 3 or 4 yards the other side. And at that point, Moyes is definitely now at panic stations. Like, right, we can't afford to concede any more goals. This was like, this would have been not Moyes' worst case scenario, but this would have been the worst result Moyes would have wanted to, and would have accepted.
Yeah,
because of the goal difference.
I think that's the biggest thing we're going to walk away with here. I'm not even going to talk about the third goal, but I mean, to make things easier for people to understand, I'm actually going to bring up the Premier League table for you, so we can actually have a quick look at it now live while we're on the stream. So let's get to the bottom here. As you can see there, West Ham sitting in 15th place, played 34 games with 34 points. Leicester just below us on 30 points, but we have now equaled their goal difference.
Yeah, so that is like a flat 4 point. But you look at, Leeds are on -24, so it's actually still 11 goals.
Yeah.
11 goal swing, and Nottingham Forest is -32, so that's a 19 goal swing, right? That is worth another point because they cannot go level; they have to go past.
Yeah.
So now you're talking about Forest and Leeds having to at least win 2 of their last 4 games, with us not getting another point. I joked with Russ before before the game started that you could quite easily, conceivably see us going into the final game of the season and us and Leicester just playing out a boring draw.
Yeah.
Depending on how the results have gone, Leicester might need a point, and West Ham like, well, you know what, we can have the point because we both get the point. We're both fine. It's the fixtures. The fixtures aren't. I think Everton's winnable fixture is last game of the season. They got Bournemouth, so they could be gone by that point. Leeds have got Man City at the weekend, and then Newcastle. And then they think they've got us and I might say Forest maybe is their last game.
Question I'm going to ask you then, Matt, and I'm going to ask everyone else in the chat as well. What what is the question I was going to ask? The question I'm going to ask to you is, mate, do we stay up? Or no, sorry, the first question I'm going to ask you is one more win enough to stay up?
Yeah. Honestly, because of the goal difference, you probably don't even need a win. You probably need 2 points.
Yeah.
I would say 3 points to be definite because of the goal difference, but 2 points. Because 36, the other teams, right, Everton aren't picking up 7 points from three games. Sorry, they're not. They're not going to get that manager bounce. They brought in Big Sam too late. I don't see them getting the manager bounce with Brighton at the weekend, then Man City, then Wolves, then Bournemouth. They might get 4 points from that, which is 33. Forest, I think they could get points.
Yep.
Southampton this weekend. Forest should win it. Southampton are basically down. Unless, and let the only thing you could say is maybe the pressure's off Southampton, they might turn up and play. Then they got Chelsea away, Forest, which, you know what, they could get 3 points there. They could get 6 points there, Forest. And that might put them up to 36.
Right, I'm going to bring another concern from the game, though, is that this man limped off Sefal. Big worry for West Ham moving forward for the last run-in?
It was very hard to judge on the way the game went because I didn't see a lot of Johnson as an attacking outlet. And we're getting a couple of injuries at the wrong time. That really now does leave us with the choice of, do we rejig our entire back four again and go like Aguerd, Kira and Johnson as a back four? Or does that now mean Bonner's got to play the run-in until, so they reckon Zuma's going to be a couple of weeks, hopefully. Might miss a couple of games. Does that now mean that Bonner's going to have to play that left centre-back, Aguerd right centre-back and Kira as a right-back? Depends. You do at least have the flexibility with Kira in there, who, to be fair, I thought had a very good game as the right-sided centre-back.
Yeah.
Or right at the back three.
All things considered.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game.
If this man is out for the rest of the season, is that a concern for us? Yes or no?
At the moment, no. But you are now starting to tilt that way because it's the number of injuries combined. You're now starting to run out of options.
Yeah. Right. Next one is should have gone with a false number 9. Do you agree with that one? From Peter Chelmsford.
I thought Antonio done well for 55 minutes, but he ran his knackers off for 55 minutes and he was done at the end of it. So, on the issue for me, right, again, is that given the game plan, that was always going to happen. If the game plan was to stick almost like 8 players behind the ball or 7 players behind the ball and counter in 2 and 3s. For large parts of the game, you're basically saying to Bowen and Antonio, the ball's going to get fizzed up to Antonio, and then you two, and then maybe Fornals or Paqueta, whoever makes that run. You two plus one of the midfield runners is going to have to make something happen. So Antonio's going to be running up and down non-stop.
Yeah.
So the plan B, like the plan 1.0 or whatever, like 1.2, they should have known that around the 55 to 6 minute point, Antonio was going to have to come off and you had to have a second game plan. They didn't. They got to like the 60th minute and Antonio's race was run, or 65th, and they were like, all right, Danny Ings can go on. And they may have been better off putting, like I said, Cornet or even Ben Rama on and going, maybe not from the start for the false 9, certainly for the second half, because once Antonio come off, the long ball option was gone, in which case you either have the pace over the top, or like you said, you go false 9, a guy that can drop deep and then link up the play and then try and work the wingers off around him.
Well, I did a show earlier in the week and it was how to stop Erling Haaland, and can West Ham stop Erling Haaland? Well, we did not stop Erling Haaland. We let him.
You know
We
what,
did.
though?
No, we didn't because he scored, mate. So we didn't. We did all right.
No, I was going to say, you know what though? I was quite surprised on how quiet we did keep him. Like, he didn't get much of a go, but it doesn't matter because the guy is so good. I think he had 2 chances in the game. I think he had that header at the back post in the first half when he peeled off. And he had that chance. And like you said, we both knew as soon as that ball was left Grealish's foot in that position, there's one outcome. But that's what you pay the big bucks for.
Yep. Absolutely. Anyway, listen, I'm not going to bore you anymore with it because it's not a great day at the office and probably a result we probably expected. But there's 4 games to go now. We're all caught
6
up.
games.
Well,
Six
yeah,
games
sorry, in
to
the
go.
Premier League though. 4 games in the Premier League to keep our to guarantee our safety somehow, and let's hope we can do it. But we move on, and we're on to Manchester United next. You know, the Battle of the Manchester.
Sunday night.
Sunday night at 7 o'clock.
What is that?
Are you ready for that one? Thanks for watching. It's been a hard one. Again, it's been tough, but I'm not going to keep you on here too much longer because you may struggle with watching us moan about the situation. Matt, we need to really put our heads down now and focus on the game ahead, which is Manchester United, and we need to deal with that. And hopefully, we have got players back ready to fire and fit, and they've learnt their lessons from tonight. Anyway, that brings it into the show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Of course, take it easy, and we'll see you tomorrow. Come on, you irons.